with your financial market wrap up. And again, I'm not in any of these pictures. We actually have the unpackers coming to our home tomorrow. I hope they can make it here. It's going to be overnight in the high 30s. But by the end of the day, the cold snap that you're seeing on TV is going to hit the Midwest. And very shortly for the Bears game, it's going to be a nightmare. I don't know how those people are going to go out in it. We are talking, it's probably well below zero with the wind chills. Without them, it's going to be in the low teens. So it's going to be one heck of a nasty time. And, the interesting thing is you're not getting a big bid out of the natural gas or the heating oil off of it. You've been falling mostly in the energies. The API numbers that came out tonight were not that bullish. In fact, why don't we take a look and see what those are offering? The Mortgage Bankers Association starts the morning off with a 6 a.m. set of numbers. We're going to get, and people are just saying how in dire straits the housing market is in different parts of the country. The third quarter 2025 employment cost index data comes out at 7:30. We'll get to petroleum. I spelled that wrong. Petroleum. Petroleum stockpiles at 9:30 a.m. The Fed meeting announcement. That's the big thing of the day. That comes out at 1 o'clock where we'll get the announcement. Are they going to cut a quarter point more or nothing? Are they going to give us the dot plot? That is a yes. And then the press conference and how bullish, hawkish, bearish, dovish, either way you want to go with it. I'm not tying them together. Does the Fed chair want to be? I can't begin to tell you. This is his last meeting of 2025. He has just a few left now to go before the new Fed chair will take over. We don't know what date yet the president will make the announcement. I think Scott Bessent, when he comes out and gives us dates that the president tells him, he understands the president changes things on the fly. The API petroleum stockpiles were all, if you take a look, interesting. You had a draw on the crude. That's why you're holding tonight, but you're building in the motor gas and the distillate. So the report probably, I think you just look at it as a mixed report. When we take a look at bonds and notes, they're slipping a little bit, as you can see in the bonds and the 10-year notes. The closer in you get, the market's unchanged to barely moving at all. And that makes sense. In the different stock indices, they came up today off their break lows. We'll see what happens. Silver made a new run to an all-time high. So let's go to the chart action and see what we have. First thing I tell you is when you look at this, you can see that the market is down for the week so far, a 0.5 percentage point. Okay, it's a double top area, as they call it. You can see what the market's done. It's come back up into the zone here, and it keeps fighting a battle from these 2 points right now. And the market has to decide what to do. If it takes off, you can also use a measuring point from right here, 6,900 to right here, this low of 65.25, and flip it over. That's what some chartists will say will be one of the potential objectives. Overall, you can argue that you got a formation that some could call a head and shoulder, inverted, with the head, pair of shoulder, and a shoulder. If you had a vertical move, you'll hear more people talk about that to the upside. If it breaks from here, they'll say, well, it was making it, it never got anything done with it. When we look at the moving averages, this is the 200-day. The 18-day it's well over there. I'm just not labeling them right now. And the 18 is in red. So you got the 100 in green, the 18 right there. As we take a look at the Bollinger Bands, you're far away from them, both on the top and bottom. So if we had a report that reacts negatively to whatever the Fed says, support, I'd look for 67.75. If it reacts positively and can break through this high that it just made right here of 69.05, you open the door up for the 69.70 to 80 level. When we take a look at stochastics, they're embedded. So until the red line that makes up the slow stochastic, this number closes under 79, I think the pros will be waiting to buy the breaks in the market, and that's how I expect them to act. In the NASDAQ, have we embedded finally? Follow me. You need 3 days in a row to embed. It's where these two numbers both go over 80 and stay there. So let's go back. You weren't that way here, but day 1, 2, 3. The answer is yes. So here too, until you close under 79, I expect the pros to be buying the market. Now there's a way to do that, but I'm not going to share that here. That's why I have the courses on it. In the Dow, you have the micro E-mini Dow Jones. It is not an embedded reading. It's just an overbought market. I wouldn't touch that. Not when you have so many markets that are embedded. Now, if they all lose their embedded reading together, you probably go back, and those that lose it, to the 18-day average. And if they don't, the next objective, one of them at least, is going to be the upper Bollinger Bands in each of these markets. And traders will then come out and say the Santa Claus rally is underway. In the DAX, we got ourselves up, as you can see, right into here, where it's trying to hold now, but it's overbought. It's fighting a battle and has been at the 200-day average of closes for a while here. This is the 100, I believe. I believe it's green, and that's where the market is fighting its big battle at this point in time. When we look at the 10-year notes, you can see that the market is fighting and got through the 100-day average of closes, and that put it right into the Bollinger Band where it's sitting. So the 10-year note, if you watch the cash, it was around 417 the last I looked at it. And that is not a number that's going to get me excited for mortgages in any manner. Even the 2-year note is making new lows. Now remember, this is the one of them that the Fed has more influence over. Certainly the 6-month, the 3-month, the 90-day, that's how it works. That's where the Fed, when it moves, that's the pressure and what it does. And that also impacts auto loans and different shorter term loans. Mortgages, unfortunately, are longer term, and the Fed is not the Fed, but the Trump administration is discussing a 50-year mortgage. You do realize you're probably never going to pay it off. You get higher lows, higher highs. You see where you're at right here. When you take a look at the eurocurrency, I expected this pullback, if you'll recall. The videos are all there on YouTube. I said I think the pros are taking money off the table at the Bollinger Band, and they most certainly did. In the Japanese yen, it looks to me like the government just wants the yen to go down in value. And while the Bank of Japan keeps saying that they want to fight inflation and they're ready to raise rates, the prime minister doesn't want that to happen. And I think the market is going to test, no matter what the bank tries to do with raising rates, they're going to go after them. In Bitcoin, it looks to me like you're through the worst of it at this point. I don't think you're going to make it easily back to the 81,000 level. It looks as a chartist like to me like you're going to fight your battle at this 18-day average to the upper Bollinger Band. And if you take out the lows of today, Tuesday, not tonight's lows, but Tuesday's lows, then you open the door to slip back to the Bollinger Band, but I still look for support. On the energy markets, I was reading what Russia was saying, and Russia has been saying all along, oh, they're going to produce, they're going to ship, and so on. Well, the fact is today, a little bit of a tone change. They haven't met the quotas that were given to them by OPEC. They're working on it. There's been a lot of damage done by the fight with Ukraine, but they're fully intending to get that out. What they didn't say is to who. They have one big buyer. It's China. And that's their big buyer. And in order to sell to them, they have to keep discounting. And I frankly don't see Russia and Ukraine becoming buddy-buddy anytime soon. I've seen people say, well, it's going to be mid-2026. How do you know that? It's a good guess, but it's a guess at best. And out of the 28 points that our president delivered to Ukraine, supposedly we received back their comments, and apparently there's 20 of those still open. Does that sound to you like we're on a deal? I don't think it is. And I'm sure it's not the ones open are giving back land, not being a NATO member. Maybe they don't want to do that. The armed forces, no, they're not going to go down to skeleton armed forces. In WTI crude, higher highs, trying to be a lower low. We'll see what happens with that. And in the heating oil, you can see how you keep slipping in this market. Again, you have a bearish embedded reading. When you see something like that, don't fight it. Understand the power of being embedded. People try to fight those. I always go, boy, it doesn't make any sense. And if natural gas can fall further, then I look for the big support to come in right here at the, let's call that right now, the 100-day average in the Bollinger Band. You're already oversold. It's interesting because now that we're cold in the Midwest, all the local TV shows are going to show you the cost of heating, how it's gone up year over year, what it's done over the past 6-7 years, and it just keeps rising. I mean, that's the way that it is, and you have to understand that. So not only are you paying more if you have a mortgage, not only are you paying more in insurance in most parts of the country, you've got your heating costs. Anyone that thinks that it's cheap to own a home anymore, badly mistaken. But rent is even worse, as you're giving the money to the landlord and he's got his own costs that keep going up, so your rent's not going down either. I'm Ira Epstein. I can't wait for tomorrow. That'll be the big day when we get finally to the FOMC meeting. I'll talk to you all later. I hope you watch the other videos tonight. See you in the morning.